welcome back to our question and answer session. Today is a rather long question, so let me just read it. Hi, Father Stephen. You mentioned in your June 12th homily, it is the responsibility of women in particular to speak out against pornographic images, videos, etc. I think it's up to everyone. The reason being, in the history of humanity, we can see that the majority of the world has or is a paternalistic society, meaning that males are the head of their family. Males in many countries and cultures, societies being the preferred gender, mostly to work in the fields, etc. As well as when time to get married in some cultures, it costs more for a dowry for women, and males families receive a dowry. Thus, society, in terms of people of influence and places of influence, are males with male ideas. I think males should realize for themselves that pornographic images, etc. are wrong. This was created by a male who gained billions of dollars, and today's stats show that the individual makes more money than the top 10 billionaires in the world. My questions are, why does society place a high importance on males to dominate others, especially females? I see this in many conversations where there are male and female friends conversing, where time and time again, if a female beats a male counterpart in sports or puts a different perspective, they are shot down and ridiculed. Shouldn't education systems, political parties, churches promote and educate the people for what the purpose of male and female is, purpose of being male and female, and what society shows as what male and female are? I think is two different things, but I could be wrong. Your assistance in clearing up questions for me is very much appreciated. Thanks, Father, and Roberto, too. So thank you for that question. It is a great question, and it is true that men should be aware that pornography is wrong. Part of the problem is that many men love pornography. They're very attached to it, very addicted to it, so they don't think there's anything wrong with it. They don't want to get rid of it. I also wanted to mention, the person wanted to thank Roberto. I too would like to thank Roberto for all his help. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to start doing these videos on my own. So he's very outgoing. He has a great personality. He is no longer with us. He's had to move on. Unfortunately, the seminary said that they are not going to accept him for the next year. So he was let go from the seminary. It was kind of sad, but Roberto was kind of expecting it. And he is very intelligent, very capable, so he already has a job lined up. He found a place for himself, so pray that he does well. And his father just passed away, and his father's name is Carlos, so please pray for the repose of the soul of Carlos. So Roberto is not able to go. They're not able to have a funeral. In Panama, there's a huge outbreak right now, and all the hospitals are overwhelmed. It's a terrible situation. So in getting back to our question, in regards to my homily, I don't remember exactly what I said. I didn't bother looking it up. You could if you want. I'm sure it's probably available through our website. But what I probably said is that women need to be more concerned and more active in trying to oppose pornography. I didn't say that they're not, but what I think I was trying to indicate is that pornography harms women especially. It harms the men who look at it, definitely, but the women are the ones who are most adversely affected, even though they themselves may not be looking at pornography. In other words, how men treat them, how men treat women involved in the pornographic industry, and men who look at pornography, how they will treat their girlfriends, their wives, or even complete strangers, raping them, and terrible things. So even secular society acknowledges that pornography is wrong. Many men kind of know it, but because of their addiction, they have a hard time overcoming it. Governments could theoretically ban pornography, put blockers in place, and they censor much of what we say. They could censor pornography. They could place fines on people or companies that promote or distribute pornography. There's so many ways they could deal with this problem, but they don't seem to care. They don't care that men are addicted and lives are being destroyed, families are being broken by it. So it's very, very unfortunate. Now, part of the question the person asked is, why does society place such a high priority on males to dominate? So yes, it is a cultural thing that in most cultures, males do indeed dominate. And I think it's present still today. The person also mentioned that sometimes when a female beats a male in whether it's sports or something else, it's very humiliating for a lot of men, I think, because they're so proud. They don't like being beaten by a woman. So they tend to put the woman down, to criticize the woman, and it could lead to even further discrimination or having a negative attitude towards women. In general, I think when it comes to sports, males tend to outperform women. There might be a few sports where women might be better, but my impression is that in most sports, men are stronger, more capable. They have bigger frames, different bone structure, so they're more capable. And in fact, there's an issue now of males who have transgendered and become females. They're not really females, but they still have the same bone structure, muscle structure, and so they tend to beat women. And a lot of women in sports are complaining that they can't compete against these males that have transitions into being females. So it's kind of unfair in the sports world. But yes, women do get ahead. Sometimes they do beat men. I know many women who can run a lot faster than I can. They can beat me in sports. But in recent times, even in England, Margaret Thatcher, so she was the Prime Minister of England. In the United States, Hillary Clinton was running to be the president. So in other words, women are in very high positions in society. They can attain to those positions, and it's great that they are doing that. The unfortunate thing is that, in the past, why is it that cultures were mostly dominated by males, and even today? And I think it has a lot to do with the nature of male and female, how God made us and the purpose for male and female. So why are we male and female? Some people like John Paul II said that when God created Adam was kind of like a whole. But when God created Eve, in the Bible it says that God created Eve from the side of Adam, from one of his ribs, kind of like taking Adam or something from Adam, and from Adam creating Eve. But that left a kind of gap in Adam, and that gap is perfectly fulfilled by Eve, or one like Eve. So it's the complementarity of the sexes, but also I think God made us this way to make us realize that we are not complete in and of ourselves, that we can't just be our own God and live by ourselves. We need others. We depend upon others. And ultimately, we need God and depend upon God. And the fact that, a male is attracted to a female and vice versa, and that mutual need, reminds us to turn to God, who is the source of all fulfillment and all goodness, right? So God made us this way for a number of reasons, but also so that male and female can procreate. And what each of the parents gives to the child is different and beneficial for the child. So both parents are involved in the education of their children. But think back in olden times. You can go even back as far as times like caveman times, or, very prehistoric kind of period. So women tended to have babies, and that's a good thing. But women would stay in the cave or the home, and they would take care of the home, they would prepare meals, and they would care for the children, they would educate the children, and if necessary, they might guard or protect where they are. But it was really the males who were the ones who would guard and protect the women. But it was also the males who would go out, they would hunt, or they would gather, or they would farm, or they would trade with other peoples. And so this is the tradition that kind of developed. So women would stay at home, men would go out and work, make an income, they would provide for the family, and the women would stay at home, cook meals, wash the clothing, and do a whole lot of stuff. And if you think about it, doing all those things that women do, it's a full-time job. So many women today, they have a job where they go out and work 9 to 5, but they also stay home and they do all those things still, and they don't get a whole lot of help from their husbands. So it's almost like working 2 full-time jobs. Why are more women doing this? Some women who've had successful careers have stated that they regret the fact that they did not have any children. So some women today sacrifice having children in order to get a career. The various governments, especially communist type governments, made it so that both parents would be required to work in order to be able to make ends meet, and so that the child would be given over to daycare, so that the child would be raised by the state and educated by the state in the way that the state wants them educated, so that they would not be educated by their parents. And in fact, even today, I've read accounts or heard of mothers who go to work and then they say, well, the money I'm making, most of it is going for daycare. So it's like, why am I working? Why don't I just stay home and take care of my own child? Interestingly enough, psychiatrists or psychologists also, they point out that the ideal for a child is to grow up through those initial years of development being close to one or the other of the parents, especially the mother. So when a child has a trauma, the ideal is they run to mother comforts them, and the child feels assured. In a daycare center, they could run to the supervisor who's taking care of them, but it's not the same as their own mother or father. And sometimes these supervisors, they have preference for one child over another, and it's not ideal in many ways. So society, I think, has pressured women to abandon having children or having as many children as they used to have, so that they could have a career, so that they could enjoy more things in life, which is kind of unfortunate. When it comes to the roles of the male, so mothers kind of nurture, mothers are the love of the family, the heart of the family. When it comes to males, think of males as, think of St. Joseph. He is the provider and the protector of the Holy Family. And males are called to this role, to provide for their families, which means that a man has to have a job, he has to work hard to provide for their families. And unfortunately, today a lot of men, they shirk this responsibility. They get a woman pregnant and then they take off. So we have a lot of single mothers today. And so the responsibility falls on mothers, not just to nurture their children and educate them, but also to provide for them and to protect them. So men should provide, but men should also protect their families. And when I say protect, yes, being physically stronger in the olden days may have helped to protect the families, but they also need to protect their children, their families, from the harms presented in society, in the media. This is why men would go off to war, to protect their families, to protect their homeland. So in other words, if you're going to protect your child, you want to ensure that the area where your child is going to live, the surrounding where the child is going to interact with other people, or the country where the child is going to live, is going to have good policies, good educational systems, good moral teaching. So if society is becoming immoral, if the educational system is being corrupted and they're teaching sex ed in ways that they shouldn't be, fathers should definitely be very concerned, and they should do what they can to protect their children. And this is what it really means to be a man. Being a man doesn't mean having big muscles. That doesn't make you a man. Anybody could pump up their muscles or just work out and get big muscles. It doesn't mean you're a responsible man. So to be truly a man means you have self-control. When you have self-control, you are capable of acting the way that you need to act. You're capable of showing self-giving love. You're capable of forgiving when you need to, when you need to forgive. Someone who lacks control, people, especially men who lack control, they're prone to be demanding. They're prone to get angry. They're prone to put people down, to ridicule, to mock, to belittle others. And often this happens within families. And also when you lack self-control, you're more prone to pornography addiction or addicted to watching sports. In other words, you just care about yourself. You're not capable of giving of yourself for your family and for your children, which is unfortunate. So this is what it really means to be a man. And if men were the way that they should be, women would be a lot happier and children would be a lot better off also. And when a man has self-control, marriages also tend to work better. They tend to last longer. Don't get me wrong, I'm not just blaming men. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of men today are not men. They're wimps. And women recognize this, and women are coming to the fore and taking advantage and getting ahead of a lot of men. And good, I'm glad they are. It's good. All the more reason why women should speak out more. But you see, the reason I encourage women to be more vocal is because pornography, it's so detrimental, especially to women. And Satan hates women because remember in the book of Genesis 3:15, God says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed. So the woman, yes, it refers to Mary, but in Satan's eyes, he hates all women. He hates them. So how to harm women? Promote pornography. So the women who are involved in the pornography industry, they get sexually transmitted diseases, they are abused, they're beaten, they often have to take drugs in order to be able to cope, so they become addicted to drugs. Their lives get ruined very quickly. A lot of women have talked about this. But also because men watch pornography, it damages their relationship with their spouses, with their girlfriends, and also, as I mentioned, innocent women who get raped. There's also, women should be concerned about this. That's what I'm trying to say. Because it affects women so badly, women should voice their opinion. The problem is women have kind of said, okay, yeah, men like porn, it's available, yeah, let's just let them do their thing and we'll do our thing. No, don't let men do their thing. No. And you see, what's happening now is that even young girls are being sexualized. So I saw there was a program advertised, I think it's Netflix, there's some movie coming out and they're kind of sexualizing young girls. And all of this has to do with pornography, even the sex education in the schools. Pornography is a big contributing factor. So these are things that women should definitely be concerned about. But you're right, males need to speak out too. Many males do. But many males, they just love these things, right? They love pornography, so they couldn't care. Now, another thing that women really need to speak out against is abortion. The unfortunate thing is that many women have had abortions. It's a very sensitive topic. A lot of women who've had abortions, they feel horrible. Deep down, they know. A lot of women have psychological problems. Some women suffer physical complications. Some people, even to this day, some women still die on the operating table when they have abortions. And it's very, very unfortunate. The other thing is that in places like India and China, there are sex-selective abortions. In other words, they do an ultrasound, and if it's a girl, child in the womb, the mother will abort. So yes, preference is given to men. In many ways, in many cultures, yes, it is preferable to be a man for many reasons. But not only are women kind of looked down upon, unfortunately, but they're even being killed in the womb. They're being aborted. So it's horrible. And even when they are born in these cultures, they're not treated with the respect that they should be. So women should be very concerned that this male-dominated society is aborting females. So yes, we all need to speak out, but women should be most concerned because it's affecting them the most. Satan is attacking them, and they don't even realize it. Now, the person also asks, shouldn't educational systems, political parties, and churches promote and educate people on the differences between male and female and the roles that they play? Well, yes. A lot of women kind of have similar roles as men today. But really, the only system that can cause us to respect other human beings, whether it's a woman or a person of dark color, is Christianity. Because Christianity teaches that we are all equal. in the eyes of God. Any other system or atheism, you look at, they have the principle of might is right or majority rule. If there is enough of us, then we can get what we want and oppress others. So there's tremendous disrespect being shown to people by means of these protests. People's properties are being disrespected. People are breaking in, stealing, and even killing. So terrible things happening. So only Christianity can teach us to truly respect another human being. Christianity teaches that as human beings, we are equal. Yes, as male and female, we have different roles to play. But in Christianity, we hold up women, especially the greatest saint, the Blessed Virgin Mary. She's the greatest saint, a woman. And I mentioned before in Butler's Lives of the Saints, as a seminarian, I used to have to give talks on the lives of the saints. For every single day, there's like 14 different saints. The majority of them are women. So women are the heart of the family. And men, yes, they're called to provide and protect, not just to impregnate. So yes, but for all of us, we need to educate people, and we need to do it with love. So yes, it would be great if the governments participated, but it seems that the church is the only one who's proclaiming the truth. So let us promote the kingdom of God here on earth. Let us all do our part, and let us all oppose evils to make society a better place for our children and for women. Thank you, and God bless you.